What, is this supposed to be on?
Yeah, hold on.
It's on now. It shows it all on my end.
Oh, it does that we're live.
Yep.
Do I need to all open this one?
Where are we? Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday with the 4E's. We are here live with Brad of Norton Dog Training, answering your dog questions. We are just, we have a little bit of a delay with the farm Wi-Fi, so just give me a second here to get to get everything up. I can't see anything or be able to answer your questions. So give me just a second here. Hello, you guys. Happy Friday. It was so weird, I have to say, to not start our morning together. I'm not quite sure how I felt about that, for sure. So I am, I almost forgot.
I felt like we missed out on our Baileys.
You missed out on, well, show them what you're doing instead.
Ooh, okay. I can't see any of this, but this is old-fashioned because I'm, a little old-fashioned.
All right, here, hold on. We are still working on, oh my goodness sakes. We can't see anything. So we're just talking to a blank screen here. That's what we're doing.
But you're doing a good job doing it.
Okay, well, thank you. That's good. I'm glad.
Let
me get our questions up and then we'll be ready to go. You guys, go ahead and let us know that you are there.
That delay is amazing.
I know. Okay, let me see here. We are cruising through. Thank you, Brad, for hanging tight with us while we get everything synced in. It's so weird because we had Dr. McDermott had showed us on it. We had everything up there. So this is this
on
new.
This, can't we do this right here and go full screen?
You can try. We had everything. There we go. Okay. So there's the
This right here and go full screen.
All right, there we go. We got our questions.
I think a lot of people are laughing at us right now.
Oh, I know. They totally are. That's okay. They are used to us being completely delinquent. Yes, we're just going to have to go with it. We're just going to go with it. Welcome to the Friday show. We have Brad Norton. Oh, no, we can't because I can't even, now we're frozen. Brad, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. All right, excellent. So we are completely frozen. We have no screen, but as long as we can hear you, we can do this. So Brad Norton of Norton Dog Training is, so many 4E kennel families use you. I think we found out about you because of clients using you, and you came and introduced yourself. Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, that is what happened. It's been about 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, it has been. And so you are in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we partnered together. I called you and said, hey, Brad, you want to train a dog for free? I want to start this program and heal as many hearts as possible through the power of a dog. And you said,
I said, yes, no problem. Let's do it.
No hesitation. Didn't even ask what we were training for. Didn't even ask, is it a service dog? Is it going to be a puppy? How long is this going to take? He just said, whatever you need. Yes, absolutely. So we trained several healing heart puppies. I'll be honest here, we did it all for free. You donated all of your time for free. And, I donated the puppy and, and
your time that you put into that puppy.
Yes. And we have been, both of our Good Morning America puppies, you are training. You have them both now. Can you give us an update on first Gracie that is going to Tennille?
Yes, Gracie and Tennille and I trained this morning together out at the park. Gracie is about 10 months old now. She'll probably go home in about another 30 days or so. We've had a little delay with the COVID because I need to get her into the hotels and stuff like that, and I can't do that right now. But Gracie is doing amazing. She's an awesome dog. Her mom is completely in love with her. She now goes home once a week for 2 days every week and spends those 2 days with the family with a little training exercise. And it's been just wonderful. She's such a neat dog. And Tennille is just so happy. Tennille could not be happier. I think 50% of these service dogs is the emotional support side of it, at least 50%. I think that's a very, very big deal for people, and it really gives people comfort, and it makes it feel like not everybody is judging them. So it's very very enjoyable. It's fun to watch Tennille with her puppy, and Gracie. When she goes home, there's 4 or 5 members of the family. Gracie is mom's dog, and mom only feeds her. Nobody gets to walk her. They get to play with her, but Gracie loves mom more than anything in the world. So it's been a great experience so far.
Good. I'm so glad. And then you have Cooper, which is Emily, a teenager's dog to be trained as a diabetic alert dog. Give us an update on Cooper.
Super Cooper. Holy mackerel. He is a Moyen, a mid-sized dog, and just absolutely the most beautiful little creature. He has one of the most, I don't even know how to describe his personality. He's like a stuffed animal that came alive, and it's just the neatest, and we could make a movie out of that dog. He's so cool. He's just a neat dog. He's still young. He's only, I think he's about 20, 22 weeks old now. So he's still pretty young, but he's going to the stores and he's doing it, and he is a perfect dog when he goes out into public. So we're very, very happy. So far, all of your choices have been on the mark.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Before you mess that up, so I can make you a little bit.
That is, oh, I missed it. I couldn't hear him. I think we cut out a little bit. That's a brand new mom, Cooper's mom, Maeve. That's our very first litter. So I am I keep checking in with you too. I'm incredibly proud to be able to produce service dogs from a first-time mom. And Arrow, our other, she's longstanding, getting close to retirement, is Gracie's mama. And you have, real quick, I know people want their own questions answered.
There's
but
a lot of them.
Is there a lot of questions? Sorry, guys. One more thing. This is something that we have done that I'm incredibly proud of. I had my worst ever resource guarding puppy, and I didn't feel comfortable putting that dog in a home. It was a puppy from Arrow. And I called you and I said, will you please evaluate? Will you see what you can do? I can't put this dog into a home, and tell me what has happened regarding that puppy.
Well, when Simon came to us at 8 weeks old, you're right. It's the most resource aggression I've ever seen. If you remember your video, you had 20 toys on the ground, and as you ran to one toy, he would run across the room and attack you viciously. Simon came to us. The original plan was to work with him for a week and fix the resource guarding and have him resold. But of course, Jeanette, with her morals and her standards, she could not sell the dog at full price in her mind, because she felt like the dog always had a predisposed issue with anger. So ultimately, after the dog was with us for a week or so, and my grandkids were playing with the dog, and we could take anything and do anything we wanted, we decided that we wanted to keep Simon. Simon is the absolute perfect dog. And at 11 months old, with very little training, Simon went on the stage with Penn and Teller in front of a live audience and cameras and all that stuff, and did a magic trick with Teller. And he was absolutely stunning and amazing. The dog sat there the entire time, and all I had to do was tell him to sit. It was a great deal. So he's been a remarkable part of our family. We're very, very proud to have Simon, and he would never dream of putting his teeth on a human skin, ever. Great dog.
You've done an amazing job. So you've kept him as your own, which I love. He's with you. And we've used him a few times as demo dogs. We had a meeting. I don't think we're under like the non-disclosure anymore. I don't know. We've gone to MGM Grand and a few casinos that were kind of thinking about having a facility dog, so to speak. And Simon was the demo dog that went, and we kind of piloted for a little bit. And just such an incredible dog. So we're super.
Yes, and we thank you for him every day.
Yeah. All right, we have a ton of questions. So
let's jump right into this. All right, so the first question is coming from Sarah Felice and Linda Jennett. Also, they have the same question. So from Sarah, Molly is 6 months old. She's out of control on her morning walks, jumping on her, untying her shoes, getting up on her hind legs when people walk by. What suggestions do you have?
Okay, this is very simple, and this should cover a lot of questions, not just this specific question. So here's how dogs work. In a dog's life, the dog has to have a leader. We are human beings, so we like to think that we are the leader. We like to think that we're in control of everything. But if the dog does not believe you are the leader, you are not the leader of the dog. The dog is the leader of him or herself. If your dog is the leader of themselves, they will do whatever they want. They'll do dog stuff. And dog stuff is pulling on the lead, sniffing the ground, jumping in the bushes, jumping on people, barking, biting, doing all those things. So we say to ourselves, well, I told my dog to quit doing that 50 times and he's not listening. So then we blame it on the dog, that the dog's too smart, the dog's too stupid, the dog's stubborn, the dog has all of these issues. The reality is your dog has no clue what you're saying. So we say things to dogs and then we hold them accountable for the teaching. So the short answer to your question is your dog needs training. The dog needs training on how to walk on a leash before you can expect them to walk on a leash. So we say to our dog, quit doing this, but have you ever really taught them? So teach your dog how to walk on a leash, then you can demand them to do it properly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we talk a lot to our clients too about, and I just think sometimes we miss so many of our owners, but you can't take a dog out on a walk the very first time on a leash and just expect them to heel and behave. You have to proof them. You have to teach them every part of a walk. And for months, it's not about actually getting to the mailbox and back. It's about making sure we have the correct emotional responses, that the puppy is guided and behaving correctly and not worry about actually getting somewhere and coming back. It's about training and actually not walking initially. And I think we think, you know, like put a leash on the dog, we're going to go walk a mile, when you have to train a dog how to behave before you can actually do that.
Right. When I teach a dog how to walk on a leash, it's done in a 10-foot square for several weeks.
Long time, right? Yeah.
That is the walk. Is we go outside and do left and right turns and left and right U-turns with intermittent sits and sit stays and all these various things. We're teaching the dog how to walk on a leash before we go take them for a walk on a leash. So taking your dog out is great for experience, noises, get around dogs and cars. But the reality is, just like Jeanette said, don't expect the dog to walk on a leash until you've taught them to do it. There are some dogs that just naturally walk next to you because they're lazy or that's what they feel like doing. But the reality is, if the dog's in charge, it's going to do dog stuff, which does not align with what you believe the dog should be doing.
Yeah. And then you have to train your dog to, how do you behave when a car drives by? How do you behave when someone else walks by? How do you behave when another dog walks by? Like every part of a walk has to be trained on how they are supposed to respond. And if they're just pulling you and excited the whole time, that's actually what you're training them to do, because you're allowing it. A dog pulls on you because you follow them, essentially. All right, next question.
Yes. All right. From Dick Dumais. How do we stop playful biting when the dog is trying to get attention?
So the biggest thing with biting or jumping on you, if a dog touches you and you touch them back, so if they initiate physical contact either by their teeth or by their hands, and you touch the dog and pet the dog wins. So when a dog touches you, it says, pet me, and then we do it. And the dog says, good boy, good girl. So the deal is, you have to ignore that. If a dog comes up and bites me, I will snap my fingers and say no. And when the dog backs off, I'll say good. And then I will touch the dog. Never, ever touch a dog when a dog has touched you first, especially in a training aspect. If you're just laying on the floor and dog walks up, that's one thing, but that carries into this exact question. So never let a dog initiate physical contact. If they do, push them away, tell them no or off. Once they're standing there, then you can call the dog over, and it needs to be your idea. And the dog will start to learn that they're not going to just push you around. If they, like Jeanette said a little bit ago, if the dog pulls on a leash and you just follow it around, that's what you've trained it to do. If the dog bites you and you pet the dog, that's what you're training the dog to do. So biting is a bear, but these two puppies that I have here, they bite me, and I just tell them no, and then give them something else to do. Redirection with food doesn't really work for that specific thing, because they'll just eat the food and come back and chew on you some more. So you must teach the dog not to put teeth on a human being. And I would honestly do it with a loud clap and a no, or a snap and a no, or whatever it takes for that specific dog. So every dog's a little different there, but generally you can fix it in one day.
Okay, good, thank you. Next.
All right. So this is from Allison DeSante. I'm trying to get Rosie to accept the leash. She loses her marbles when I put it on. My question is, should I start with a harness or let her lose it?
All right. So number one, that's a good question. So I don't know how old your dog is, but you need to put a collar on the dog. So let's talk about collars real quick. The first collar is your standard or flat collar that we all get from the dog supply stores or the grocery store or whatever. It's the one that you hang the tags on that we've had our whole life. There's two reasons why the flat collar is dangerous. Number one, your dog can pop their head out of it when they get nervous. They'll spin around and jerk their head out. Number two, it puts 100% of the pressure on the bottom of the trachea and can cause trachea damage. So the first thing I would recommend is get an appropriate collar. I personally suggest a martingale collar that's half cloth and half chain. It allows it to constrict around the dog's neck nice and equal, so it puts pressure on the muscle groups as opposed to everything on the trachea. Number two, your dog cannot pull their head out of the martingale. I recommend personally the Mighty Paws martingale off of Amazon, Mighty Paws. If you have a doodle that's 25 pounds or bigger, you would, or a dog that's 25 pounds or bigger, you would put a medium on. If it's less than that, you would use a small. Now, if a dog whines at anything that you do to the dog, so if you put a prong collar or martingale or any kind of collar on your dog and it just goes crazy, you have to continue the work. So what we do is people, we're very loving and we're very soft. So we take the leash back off of the dog and say, I'm sorry, Fifi, everything's going to be okay. But the reality is the dogs have to face that fear. We have to make sure they face that fear. So I would just take that dog and put them in a situation and put the leash on. Now you might use some treats to bait the dog to you, give a little tug on the leash and then use a treat to bring the dog to you, where the dog understands that the collar on his neck or her neck is actually a good thing. And you can teach that dog very softly how to do it, but never back down. So I put collars on dogs all the time where people walk them on a harness. So you can't teach a dog on a harness. That's our excuse to walk our dog comfortably and allow him to drag us down the street in great comfort. So yeah. Put the collar on the dog, make the dog go for a walk. Honestly, I would just take the
on you so you're comfortable while you're yanking me around. There you go. We are enabling. It goes back to quit enabling and empower your dog. They're throwing a tantrum, them throwing a fit, let them throw a fit. Just wait for it to be over, but don't take the collar off. Don't stop what you are doing. Excellent.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Oh, okay. So Camille Booth, my sweet 5-month-old, will sit on command, but still jumps on everyone all the time. How can I stop this annoying behavior?
All right. So me personally, so there's many ways to stop jumping. One of them is to ignore it and turn away from the dog. In my experience, that one works less. So I hate to tell somebody how to use the knee without showing them how to use the knee, because if you use your knee, you could use it improperly and bump the dog in the shoulder or hit them in a weird way and injure the dog. Now, I personally have never injured a dog, but I like to raise my leg up. The dog bumps into it. I say off. As soon as the dog's sitting or standing, I will pet the dog. Here's the deal with jumping up. If one person out of 10,000 pets that dog when it jumps up, it will continue jumping. The dog is jumping up to say, pet me. And what do we all do? Hey, baby, how are you? And we pet the dog because they're cute. So we say, well, I don't do it all the time, just when I come home from work or just when somebody comes in the door or whatever. You can never, ever pet the dog if it's jumping on you. So number one, you have to fix it within your household to where the dog doesn't get to jump on you. The second part is when you have guests over, you can't train your friends and you can't train your family to be dog trainers. They're not going to raise their knee up. They're not going to do any of those things. So either have the dog on a leash to where it can't learn bad behaviors when the people come over, or put the dog up. So I generally will maybe want my dog to be part of the group. So I'm going to keep it on a leash to where it doesn't jump on my friends, because my friends are going to bend down and go, it's okay, I don't mind it. And they're going to pet my dog and ruin it. Okay, so you have to make sure 100% of the time that the dog does not get to jump on anybody. And if it does, you use your hand to push the dog away. In the dog's mind, you pet the dog and it'll do it again. Even though in your mind you said off and you pushed it away and it was a negative contact, in the dog's mind it was positive, it's going to keep doing it. Period.
Yep.
No jumpy.
No, jumpy. That's right. We do that because it can be difficult to tell people about putting up a knee, and we've definitely seen people do that wrong. And
yes.
Appropriately. So one other way, we definitely don't want that. We kind of march into their space and just kind of march into them.
And I do that. Advance forward, never run from them.
That's right. Just kind of march right back into their space if you don't feel comfortable or don't know how, or not under the professional guidance of a trainer.
Yeah.
You can try that too. You're kind of just marching with little knee steps, and it's uncomfortable.
And that works. That actually works quite well. It's just raising your knees up. Dogs jump on you because it's fun. Make it unfun. So when you march towards them with your knees up, That's unfun. And as soon as they land on the ground, pet them. Say, look, every time you're on the ground, I'm going to pet you. If you're in the air, you get nothing.
Yes, good. Reward the good, ignore the bad, prevent the bad. Next.
All right. From PJ Amiscua. Question. They took their puppy home last summer and introduced her to the pool with advice from both of you already, Jeanette and Brad.
Oh, I feel like I'm being set up.
I know.
Brad, we're getting set up.
I feel it too.
They started at day three of having puppy home. They started introducing to the pool. Even though we gave her tons of treats and tried to make it as fun and positive as possible, she is still super hesitant about going in the pool. Definitely will not swim. How do we get her to feel comfortable in the water? How do we get her to like it?
Okay, so we can't make a dog like swimming, no different than we can make a child like swimming. I can make my child go to swimming classes and learn how to swim, but they may never, I don't want to go swimming. No, I don't want to play football. So I can teach my kid football, but I can't make him like it. So, but it sounds like in this particular case that we just haven't gone far enough with the training. So when I teach training for swimming, I put the dog on a 20-foot long lead. Someone goes to the other side of the pool. They set the dog in very gently. I stand by the stairs and I say, come. And I give a couple little tugs on the leash, guiding the dog to the exit steps. The next step, if you've already done that and your dog can come from every direction in the pool and swim straight to those steps, the next piece to that is to put the dog on the ledge and kind of pull on the leash and pull the dog into the pool very gently, where the dog is forced to jump in the pool and swim across. Make the dog do lap after lap. You should be doing 3 or 4 repetitions from different areas of the pool. Someone sets the dog in, swim to the steps. Sets the dog in, swim to the steps. And do that in pieces. And by the end of the week, you should be able to set that dog in anywhere and it swims right to the steps. Super easy.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry, we're
right.
We're directing kids and
Yeah.
kids and dogs running around here.
It's about pulling the mic down a second ago.
I want to pause real quick and I want to introduce your wife, Jamie. I know she's there. Have her come around and say hi to everybody.
She disappeared.
Where'd she go?
She went off in the other room.
Oh, she did. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I don't know where.
She comes back in. Make her come around and say hi to everybody. She's a huge part. You know, you're a family business like we are, and she loves all of your puppies. And she's kind of your anti-trainer because she's the lovey-dovey, soft one. So
I'm glad you see that too.
He's the anti-trainer around here.
Yeah.
Next question.
True. All right. From Janelle Herrera. I'm interested in getting a dad. Is there a difference in length of training for a companion dad versus a full service dad?
Is there a difference?
What's the cost difference? I want to plan for expenses before getting on a reservation list.
Okay, so a dad is a diabetic alert dog. And I don't know what really the difference is between a companion one and a working one. If you train it to do the work, it's going to be both, really, at all times. So it takes us, and it really depends if the dog comes to me as an 8-week-old puppy or comes to me as a 20-week-old or older puppy. So if I raise the puppy, then you have 3 months of puppy raising and then another 3 or 4 months of training. So you're looking at like 7 months of training. If the puppy comes to us at 5 months, you're looking at 3 to 4 months worth of training. So it really depends when the dog comes to it, because you can only teach a puppy so much. So if I raise the puppy, it definitely takes a lot more work, time-wise. So I don't know that there is necessarily a difference. I think a dog is a dog.
Maybe they mean, Brad, I'm just trying to think, maybe they mean no public access work, like the dog just stays in the home and does diabetic scent.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is we would have to do public access work because you want that dog very well rounded.
Yeah.
So every dog we touch, even a regular obedience dog, is going to do public access work because I want that dog to be able to go everywhere.
Okay,
so
good, excellent.
I see a big difference, but it's about 10 to 15 grand probably. Did you get that? I said it'd be about 10 to 15,000 normally.
Yes.
All right. Now, Jennifer Laurent, she is in California, planning on a 4E pup for next year. She's wondering what to look for when trying to find a good dog trainer.
Well, I the first thing is I would make sure that the trainer is not a primary e-collar user. And I'm not going to throw any company names out there. And what that means is if they use an e-collar, electronic collar as their primary tool, I personally would not use that trainer. I don't mind e-collars. I actually train them on almost every dog if people want them. And we're very good at it, but I do not use it as a primary tool. We always teach the dog on a leash first, and we use the electronic collar as a secondary tool or an extension of the leash is the way we look at it, never a tool of punishment. So make sure the dog trainer is not using an e-collar as a primary tool. And honestly, I would probably want to hear from a few people that the dog trainer has trained their dog. The second part is if they are a positive reinforcement only trainer. Jeanette knew this was coming. If they're a positive reinforcement, I'm not against positive reinforcement, but I'm against it as a whole program because it doesn't have an end to anything. It's always positive. So if they're positive reinforcement only, they will get your dog to sit and lay down and do all those things, but they will most likely not beat the distractions in public, the dogs, the people, those types of things. Your dog assigns a value to the treat. It's a 5. If your dog assigns a 5 to the treat, everything that dog sees that it believes above a 5, it's going to go do that instead. So the dog is always in charge of the program because they do everything out of grief for themselves. So to me, it's just a well-rounded trainer that can get your dog to do things and understands dogs. They didn't just go to some class last year and now they're a dog trainer, because that's what those classes do. They crap out dog trainers like crazy. Okay.
Okay, good. So I'm going to recap for you. 3 things to look for. Number 1, they don't use one tool as a complete way to train, whether it's a prong, whether it's an e-collar. Number 2, they're not positive only trainers. Dogs learn through natural consequence. It's normal, it's natural. And number 3, read reviews. How long have they been in business? How many dogs have they trained? What is their success at training dogs? Okay, good. Yep. Next.
Look what I found.
What'd you find? Yay, Jamie, welcome to the Friday show. Introduce yourself.
Well, I am Brad's amazing wife, Jamie Norton.
And you are the best thing Brad has ever done.
That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
And I'm the one that gives all of the love to all the doodles that are here. That's my job. I'm mama. That's what I do.
Ruins the dog, basically. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Which has been your favorite 40 doodle to train? And Simon doesn't count. No, Simon doesn't count.
Okay. Then honestly, it's Gracie. Gracie is such a baby Simon. They have the same parents, so there's a lot of similarities. And she's just, you know, she's been here the longest. She's got a special piece of my heart. And I love Tennille, so.
Yeah, good. That's our Good Morning America Parkinson's Assist Service dog. Good. Okay, next question.
Okay, from Michael Weber. So they're going to be signing up for training here as COVID starts to, you know,
Dissipate,
settle a bit.
go away.
But for now, their question is, they have a 4-month-old. Pomsky. Now Dakota, or
the dog's Dakota. Pomsky, Dakota. Yeah, he barks in the car.
Yes. So, and through drive-throughs, when he hears other people's voices, how can we keep him settled? He just gets excited, not aggressive.
Okay, so
how do we keep him settled?
So that's easy. I mean, right now he's a puppy. That's the biggest thing. But he needs experience. The more experience they get out in the world, the more they say, been there, done that, I don't really care. So you should expect your puppy or your 3-year-old child to get very excited at the McDonald's window or whatever window you're going to. There's nothing wrong with that right now. Now, if he's getting vocal and he's getting a little out of control, that's no big deal. Once you get through training, you'll be able to control that. But you can't expect to control little aspects of the dog's life if you haven't structured them or taught them how to understand English. We say things to the dog and we expect them to perform. But again, if you haven't taught them how to be quiet, and it's not something you just teach overnight, it's a whole well-rounded program. You teach a dog how to learn, how to listen, and how to pay attention to you. Your dog has 100% attention. What are they doing with it? When you're sitting at the drive-thru, they're giving it away to everybody else. When you're at the park with that young dog, it's sniffing the ground, barking at dogs, looking at dogs, and it's not paying attention to you. I did a 4-month-old, 5-month-old dog this morning, a little mini doodle, for the first lesson, and the guy brought the dog out on a harness, and it was just absolutely crazy. This dog barked and pulled, and it looked like a bumblebee on the end of a kite string. And within 10 minutes of working with the dog was sitting by my side, and dogs were walking by, and that dog did not move, and we didn't touch the leash. The guy was just blown away. And it's just about creating structure in the dog's life, because if he's in charge, just like I said before, he's going to bark at the window. So training, training, training.
Good. All right, next.
All right, Lynn O'Hare. Do you consult online or have any recommendations in Ohio? Tierney has outsmarted every trainer I have taken her to so far.
Okay, and that puppy is sister to Bailey, the diabetic alert dog. And she, brilliant, driving, motivated, assertive puppy, like no joke puppy. So do you do online consulting? If you do, please help my 4E family here on this one. She's had nothing but trouble finding a trainer that can truly help her with this brilliant dog.
And in a lot of states, there aren't trainers. There's a lot of these positive reinforcement trainers that come out of these schools, and a lot of cities. I mean, even in California, a lot of people have, as big as it is, a lot of people have a hard time finding trainers, and they wind up coming here because of what we do. What I would ask her to do first is call me on the phone, 702-238-9879. That's going to blow up this afternoon. 702-238-9879. Give me a call on my cell phone this afternoon or tomorrow, and we will discuss your puppy, and I can probably explain a lot of this away and teach you quite a bit, because we have the brother Bailey, and Bailey is probably one of the smartest dogs we've ever touched. He is an absolute amazing creature. And they're like 20 weeks or 22 weeks now. Oh, Bailey. Oh, that's the one. Oh, that's the diabetic dog from Georgia.
Yeah, other Bailey. Sorry, you have two Baileys.
Yeah, that was actually a very, very cool dog too. He was super, super neat. So I was thinking a different Bailey, but
Yeah. Okay. And Lynn, if you didn't get the phone number, don't worry. Just contact me and I'll send you on over to Brad. He'll help you out. Thank you, Brad.
yep, we'll get her squared away.
Yep. It has given her a run for her life, and she's been incredibly dedicated. But this puppy is
But if we're only using positive reinforcement, the dog will always run us over, which is most likely what most trainers are doing, because that's the way the world is. That's the way they teach. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't have a closing loop to it. Shoot, Father.
Oh, we've got hours worth.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go. Come on, here we go.
So this is a follow-up sort of, but I think it's directed more towards you, Jeanette. Michael Weber says also, adopting a 4E doodle from Audrey's litter in June and wondering what we should do to help prep Dakota for the addition.
To our family. Well, Brad can answer that. They're the same family that has the 4-month-old Pomsky, the barking. I generally recommend not bringing in a puppy till you have an established dog that you like their behavior. But Brad, what do you do if you still have a younger, a 4, 5, 6-month-old puppy in the house that you're still training, and you bring in another one?
Well, I mean, you're probably going to be up all night. No, the reality is they'll get together. You just have to structure them both. When you have 2 young dogs, a 6-month-old dog is still a puppy. So when you have 2 young dogs, you got your hands full, but just do the same drills. Put the dog in the kennel, take the dog outside, let the dogs go pee, and manage the dogs. The 2 of them will just figure out the hierarchy on their own. The puppy will annoy the older dog may correct the puppy, and eventually they'll figure that out. In my experience, it takes anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks for dogs to really kind of start gelling in the house and getting along. But I don't think there's a lot of preparation. I think there's just manage it as good as possible.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Next, we have another biting question from
Susan Lasley. How do we get our puppy to stop biting during play? It's starting to get more aggressive and it hurts our hands and arms. He's 11 months old.
Ooh, 11-month-old dog. So going back to what we've said quite a few times, if you train that dog, true obedience, again, but the world believes that obedience is sit down, stay, come, place, and shake hands and all that stuff. Obedience is do what I said. So if you built a hierarchy with that dog and you were actually in charge, That dog would not put teeth on you. So, I mean, there is a way to just fix the biting, but 11-month-old dog, that's a lot of dog that's biting on you. So that would be a question you would actually have to call me, and we would have to talk specifically about that dog and explain to me exactly what the circumstances are when that dog is biting you, so I can give you the best fix for the dog.
Yeah, because that's, 8 months, 9 months of being home, and this has been a behavior that's been allowed. I can't stress this enough. And Brad, I think you can back me up on this. If done correctly, when you take a new puppy home, mouthing on you truly can, for the most part, be done within 3 days.
Yep. 1 to 2 days. I always tell people, I tell them if they're still doing it after 3 days, they need to call me because they're doing something wrong.
That's exactly
Once
right.
in a while, you can get a very crazy puppy, and then everybody right now is going to go, that's my puppy, but it's not. If the technique is if you're slightly off in your technique, the puppy will keep biting. And actually, sometimes they'll become more aggressive because you're bumping them or being soft and you're saying no, but you don't mean no because you don't want to upset your little puppy. So the puppy takes that as you're playing with them and they become more aggressive.
Yes,
So,
I can't. Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. It's something that just needs to be taken care of in the first week when the puppy's young.
Yes. So please, I cannot, if there's one thing during the show you take away, please, puppy mouthing your hands, your feet, your legs. If you can take care of it within 3 days. And if you have not, you need to consult somebody to help you, because the fact that dog is 11 months old and it's still biting you and becoming aggressive is an issue that could have been handled a long time ago, and it's just gotten worse. So please call Brad Norton and he will help you take care of that. Anybody else out there watching, your puppy should not be mouthing and biting at you. Every once in a while, they're going to forget their puppies, but with a simple reminder, it should not. I work with puppies all day. I don't have scratches and bites and marks. Don't allow it. There's no reason to have a puppy eating you alive, truly. It makes me sad when I see that, because it's just kind of a breakdown of a respectful relationship, honestly. That's the way I feel. All right, next.
All right, from Pam Fleming. Abby is great on the leash when we go on a walk until we see anyone, especially another dog. She goes crazy and pulls and barks. It looks like she's saying that this has escalated since she's been out and about less due to, social distancing and things, is being away from other people more is causing this behavior to worsen.
Yeah. So excitement. Okay. Excitement when seeing new people. What can they do?
Yeah. And so, again, that dog's just being a dog. And so what's happening is your dog is walking next to you, not because it was trained to, I don't believe, from what I'm hearing, but because it wants to. And so the flip side of that is when it sees another dog or a human and it wants to bark, it's going to go do that. And so the dog's not really doing anything wrong according to the dog. So you have to teach that dog how to be respectful and how to pay attention to you. All of this stuff comes back around to teaching the dog to pay attention to you. What are they doing with their attention? So if I walk, even that puppy that I was dealing with this morning, 5 months old, first lesson, once I got a hold of that dog's brain, it couldn't bark at dogs anymore. These dogs were walking by 5 feet in front of us, and the dog was in a sit with a loose lead, and I was standing 3 feet behind the dog, and it would not stand up and would not bark. Now, there are some dogs like shepherds and stuff that will still do that, but the reality is you just have to teach the dog. There's no magic button that you can push that says, hey, quit barking at those dogs. It's really about teaching the dog to pay attention to you. If they're paying attention to you, they don't pay attention over there anymore. They'll look at the dog, but they won't pay attention to it because they will look back at you and say, what do you need out of me, mom or dad? So again, it comes back to training. And you're right. The longer we leave these dogs in the house, the more anxiety they will have when they go out because holy crap, look at the world. So the key to that is, today in the COVID world, it's a little more difficult, but the key to dogs in general is get them out in the world as much as possible and take them as many places as possible so they can, been there, done that. The more they can say that, the less anxious and excited and nervous and whatever they are.
Can you give this owner something tangible to do other than just saying training, that when a dog is barking another dog, to help her realize? I'm just trying to think from a very, if I didn't know better, I don't know what you mean by training so that they're focused on me.
So the first thing, so let me break that down. So the first thing that I do with a brand new dog that's barking and everything is I teach that dog in right-hand squares to begin to follow me. So the dog this morning, that dog was pulling and yanking like a bumblebee. The first thing I did right in the middle of the park is I started turning right and saying, come, and giving that dog little bumps on the lead until the dog was paying attention to me. Then I said, sit, and I taught the dog how to sit and how to begin to follow me. The dog's following me and has to look at me because I'm about to do another right turn or left turn, and they have to be prepared for it. They don't have time and enough energy to look at that other dog. So it's kind of hard to explain, and it's really about getting into drills. And I start drilling the dogs, and these are 7 to 9 minute drills that I drill the crap out of these dogs, and they don't have any choice but to look at me as opposed to the world. It's very hard to teach somebody how to teach a dog how to walk on a leash through a conversation. I can't even do it over the phone. I have to really be there and
comes down to the dog focusing on you, and it's about really coming back to proofing. You can't just go out and expect them to behave. It's helping guide that emotional response. So spending that time backing way up rather than putting them in the situation to fail, go back to kind of basics, right? Like go back to basics on leash work and focusing on me and rewarding and, tightening up those skills, drill them, tightening up your training. Okay, good. Next question.
Go ahead. I was just going to say real quick, I had a lady ask me a few months ago, why does my dog want to learn how to turn left and right? I say it has nothing to do with anything. We're not learning how to turn left and right. We're using right and left turns and U-turns and so on and so forth to teach the dog to focus on it, to teach the dog how to walk next to us. So we straighten back out and go on a walk again. That dog understands that its collar belongs right next to my knee.
Yeah, you're shifting that almost paradigm, I don't know if that's the right word, but from your dog even pulling on you and controlling the walk. I talk a lot about, I think almost every show, there are two things that people miss out on that create such an innate, true bond with your dog. And one is feeding, if we're just dropping a bowl down and it doesn't really come from us and we don't ask for focus and eye contact. And the other is walking your dog. It shouldn't be about your dog pulling, barking. It should be about this. Eventually, it takes a lot of practice. Like taking your dog for a walk is so much practice, so much training, so much proofing, this unwritten language. You shouldn't even have to talk to your dog over time. That it's this beautiful conversation between the two of you without saying anything. And it's proofing and training through all the different types of situations and keeping their focus on you, not just them dragging you down the road.
Right.
They're not, pulling you the entire time, barking and doing whatever they want. And you're just following because in their mind, that's exactly what they're supposed to do because you've never said otherwise.
Because they're dogs.
Situation, change the way you're doing it. Proof through, train through proofing. All right. Anyway,
Okay.
Sorry, I get off on my tangents. Everybody knows that though.
Yeah, everyone here knows things.
Love you for it.
All right. Christine Butler has Hurricane Gus, has become quite the barker. How can we get him to stop without a bark collar? He behaves when he has that on, but as soon as they take it off,
He's
no
barking.
more
We got a
behavior.
barker, excessive nuisance barking.
So what has happened is the dog has become what's called collar wise. Collar wise means I put an electronic collar, whether it's a bark collar or e-collar, I put that on the dog and then used it the first day.
Right.
And the dog realized that collar is creating that stimulation. When I teach an electronic collar, I will have the dog wear it every day for a week for 1 hour every day. When I go out or when the dog goes in the backyard or whatever scenario, I'm going to use that collar in. Now, in this case, they've gone too far already because the dog's collar wise. So when people say to me, my dog's really smart, all I have to do is put the collar on, I don't even need the remote. And my dog is amazing with the collar on. So I say the opposite of that is if your dog has the collar off, he's a jerk. And they're kind of going, yeah. And that's because we purchased, whether it's an electronic collar or a bark collar, and we made the dog collar wise. So now you're in a little bit of a pickle because the dog has figured out the e-collar or the bark collar. It would really depend on the situation, but you may use food. When that dog barks, you may use Jeanette's treat, treat, treat type method. When the dog barks, you shake a can and bring the dog into the house. Barking is not an easy fix once the dog has become collar wise. Because one of the biggest fixes for barking is, of course, a bark collar. or an electronic collar. I like e-collars myself because the bark collar controls itself, and the electronic collar, I can control it from inside the house when I want to. So I can allow the dog to bark or stop the barking or whatever. So, honestly, there's not an easy answer for that. I would handle that on a case-by-case basis, depending on that specific dog. So if that person called me and told me the exact scenarios of barking, maybe I could give them a better answer.
Okay. All right.
All
Good.
right. Yeah, that's a tough one.
That is.
Walt Dennison, how do you stop a pizza eating dog? Chloe is a ninja. Just asking for a friend. Only thing she goes for off of the counter.
Pizza.
So just pizza.
We
Yep.
can all relate. What's the
Right.
problem, Walt? Buy two. One's for Chloe, one's for you. There. Next. No,
Problem
go
solved.
ahead.
So Walt, I would probably do a couple things here. If it's only pizza, I would take a slice of pizza, put it on a plate, and set it on the floor. And either using a prong collar or an electronic collar, when the dog went over to the plate, I would give that prong collar a little bump, and I would say no. I would sit the dog, I would slide that pizza back in front of the dog again, allowing the dog to move forward. And as soon as it did, I would bump that collar and say no. You'll find if you do it appropriately in 5 minutes, you can walk that dog by that pizza and it won't even look at that plate anymore. Now, as far as counter surfing is one of the hardest things in the world to fix. You can tell your dog no 70 million times a day, and it will continue to counter surf. Why? Because counter surfing is so rewarding. It's got pizza on it and cupcakes and all that good stuff. So as much as the world don't want to hear it, to me, the number one fix for counter surfing is an electronic training collar. And I admonish everybody to not just go buy one and use one to fix your counter surfing or your recall or whatever that needs to be trained as part of a program. But what I would do is if my dog was trained on an electronic collar, I would put a piece of pizza up on the counter. And as soon as the dog went up, I would tag that collar. And what the dog would believe is that the countertop is hot. And if the dog believes the countertop is hot, there is nothing on that countertop worth getting. No different than my child touching a frying pan or putting something in a light socket. You don't have to be in the room. If your 3-year-old puts something in a light socket, they won't do it again. It's only going to take one shot. And so
Getting through natural consequences, right? Make the counter hot.
Right.
Make it,
And
it's
so we want the dog to believe the countertop is hot. So I had somebody ask me this morning about sprinklers. Their dog goes out and tears up all the emitters. You can yell at your dog all day long. You're just going to chase your dog around the area. So instead, I would put the electronic collar on the dog, let it go out in the backyard. I would watch out the back window. When the dog touched the sprinklers, I would touch the button. And in the dog's mind, the sprinklers are now hot. He will no longer touch them. Generally, you can do that in one shot. Sometimes it's two. So electronic collars, as bad as everybody thinks they are a great blessing, and they can correct things very quickly because chewing up your sprinklers, chewing up your house, getting on your countertops creates a lot of frustration and stress. So then what do? You yell at your dog. And we're frustrated, and husbands or wives are arguing, and the family's arguing because the dog's a nightmare. So if I can take an electronic collar and clean up some of those little things and make my dog pleasant, his life is better, or her life, our life is better. It's better all the way around. So an e-collar is not as evil as people think, but it definitely needs to be trained appropriately. It's not something you can just go buy and fix the countertop.
I want to say, we can sit here and cry all day long about an e-collar, but look, until your dog has died because it's eaten something or ingested something, or you have had to do surgery because of an obstruction, I don't want to hear about it. You are saving your dog's life, potentially saving your marriage, saving the frustration in your house by a little buzz reminder to knock the shit off. It's as simple as that. Next question.
All right.
Right.
Kim Rogers. Ooh, this will be interesting. My pup has bad anxiety and fear aggression. I can't take him in my car or walk without him going crazy, and I need to dodge other dogs to keep him calm. Better with proper training. I need help.
All right. So this is a good question. So here's how this stuff starts. When we get our puppy, we treat them like a rabbit or a ferret, and we just kind of keep them at home and let them grow up and be puppies. I tell everybody that I ever talk to about a puppy from 8 to 20 weeks. Now, this young lady may be past this already, but I tell them to take that dog in the car every single day when it's a puppy. Take that dog somewhere every single day to desensitize them to the world. If we raise our dog till it's 5 or 6 months old in our home, and then we take them outside, this is actually super common. I work on a lot of 5 and 6 month old dogs that are what we would call somewhat ruined or stressed or anxious because they've never been out in the world and seen it. And honestly, the answer is saturation. I would take that dog everywhere, every single day, and I would force that dog to face these fears. Everything that lady is experiencing and the dog is experiencing is based on fear. The dog is nervous about this and nervous about that. So the dog believes that the way to correct that or keep people away or keep things away is by barking, growling, pulling on the lead and hiding behind you. And so that brings me to the next point. Never coddle your dog. If your dog is fearful and hides behind you, don't pet the dog and say, it's okay, Fifi, because you're just feeding that anxiety and your dog will be twice as anxious tomorrow. So the answer to your question in short is saturate that dog with the world. I would take that dog everywhere. I would make that dog just sit down in the middle of the park. I would make that dog behave. And if that doesn't work, which it may not at this point, you may have to just train, because I get a lot of nervous dogs. And what we do is we just train the crap out of them and we teach them confidence. I make them load up on things. I make them climb on ramps. Why do I make a dog climb on a ramp? To build confidence. You know why? Because the dog doesn't want to climb on the ramp. He says, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to die for sure. So when I make a dog walk up a ramp, they go, look at this. I made it. I did it. Look at me. I can do it. So the dog starts to trust themselves and they start to trust you. So by forcing that dog into anxious situations and controlling the outcome is how you fix an anxious dog. You have to make them face their fears.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And I think, Kim, you can correct me. You probably need to call Brad Norton, but this is an older dog. It's one of ours. And I don't think we had these issues when the dog was younger. I think this has been acquired. So I think there's more to this story for sure. So definitely contact a trainer. If it's getting worse, always, no matter what the issue is, no matter how old your dog is, if anything is getting worse, you need to act, and you need to act right away. You need to contact a trusted, reliable trainer. All right, next.
Anxiety always gets worse. It never gets better. Anxiety always gets worse by the day. It doesn't just go away. It doesn't go away in humans either. If it's not addressed, it will get worse.
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Sarah
Good.
Marquez, when is the best time to train? Before feeding, after feeding? Is it best to train once he's lowered his energy level?
So that's what most people believe. I like to take the highest energy pocket of the day. So sometimes between 6 and 10 in the morning, and then again in the evening are the two most energy that the dog usually comes up with, especially puppies. I like to take that energy and mold it into what I want. If you take a tired dog, so a lot of people come and see me and they say, I just took my dog to the dog park and ran it for 2 hours. Now I'm ready for training. I'm like, cool, see you next week. Because now the dog is healing or sitting or whatever for a completely different reason, because it's tired. It's not doing what you say, it's being tired. So always train your dog at the highest energy level. I play fetch at the highest energy level. I will walk on a leash. It's the biggest pain in the butt, but it's the fastest way to teach the dog. So high energy level, lots of training.
Because what happens, and I've been fault to this too, you say a tired dog is a good dog. Well, yeah, because they're tired, but it doesn't mean they're an obedient dog. There's a huge difference. And there's so many trainers that say they do exactly that, Brad. I'm so glad this got brought up, because it makes a trainer's job a lot easier, right? Hey, exercise the dog before you come, because then everything looks good. And they think you've done your job, but it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
If any trainer ever tells you a tired dog is a good dog and to wear your dog out before training, they know exactly what's up.
They're doing you a disservice.
That's right.
What that really means, a tired dog is a good dog. Wear your dog out through training, with training, not before training.
Good point. That was good. Thank you, Rebecca. She loves my shirt. Do you know why?
Oh, you know what?
Because Rebecca
I was going to get to
me
that.
this shirt. I couldn't help it. I was so hoping
oh.
Rebecca would show up to the show, because Rebecca and her husband came to pick up their dog. Sorry, Brad, so we get off on tangents. Came to pick up their dog, and they had these matching shirts on, and then they brought me one too, and I haven't worn it. So yes, thank you. And they just, I love them. They took home a Dixie puppy just a couple weeks ago, and they paid a deposit. They want a sibling in a year. So there you got it.
Oh, they're already.
Hello,
they're
Anthony and
already on board.
Rebecca. Thank you for my shirt. Thank you for providing my attire for tonight.
I just thought it was funny that you wore your Doodle Mom
and
shirt,
you
and
wore
I've got
Dog
the
Father.
Dog Father shirt,
Yeah.
and that wasn't planned.
And it wasn't. He wouldn't be
Not at
so
all.
clever.
No, I don't I don't think about wardrobe that much. I don't even buy my own clothes.
No.
Yes, you do.
All right.
Oh my gosh, he doesn't have to dress him. He's a hot mess.
All right.
What about a dog that bites you if you accidentally bump him while he's sleeping next to you at night? That's a problem. There's a lot to
Right.
that.
That's actually, so that's a respect issue, but it's also, so again, they're training.
You're off the bed. Get the dog off the bed. That's what I would say. Not
Yeah,
sleeping
why
off
keep
the bed if you bite me.
You're litter mates now. You're on even terms.
Anyway, go
And that's
ahead.
100% accurate. You're on even terms. You're litter mates. So there's nothing wrong with having your dog in the bed. But if your dog is correcting you ever, so you're supposed to correct your dog. No, don't do this, don't do that. If your dog corrects you and snaps at you and causes you to quit touching them or to move or to do whatever, they're 100% in charge of the operation. And guess what? Corrections get worse, just like anxiety. So the dog will get more and more aggressive. So Jeanette is 100% right. I'd kick that dog off the bed for like probably a month and rebuild that and then start over again. And then if the dog doesn't want to perform, then I wouldn't let the dog in the bed anymore.
And literally, this is how it would look. Agree or not agree. This is from me, not from Brad. If I bumped a dog while it was sleeping with me or on the couch with me and it bit me, tried to bite me, growl at me, that dog's ass would be off the bed so fast, it would not even understand what just happened to me. Mark my words. And the problem is, you probably, when the dog bit you, thought, oh, I'm so sorry, I was in your space, and moved over and gave them more room. That is the problem right there.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. And I would just shove that dog off the bed and I would say, no, don't touch me. Your dog can never put teeth on you and never correct you. Ever, ever, ever. They do. You've got some work to do to restructure that. It's not about that bite. It's about that dog respecting you or not respecting you.
And that it can tell me what to do or put its teeth on me, just like
And
you.
it won't.
It took a lot longer to train him. That's right. It took me a lot longer to keep
I didn't know
him.
he was trained yet.
He's not really.
I don't accidentally.
Okay, can you tell me how you did that? 'Cause
All right.
training.
Right, Jamie, we got to keep our dogs and our men in line.
All right. Shelby,
Cheers, sister.
all right. How old should your dog be before you introduce the pup to the pool?
To the pool. So
Yeah.
I start right at 8 weeks, but you can do it anytime you want. So the key to the pool and everything else is the pool could be big and scary. So control the environment. So whether the dog is 6 months, 2 years, or 8 weeks old, I'm going to use the same method. I'm going to have somebody set the dog in gently on the far side of the pool. But with a young puppy that's 8 to, let's say, 20 weeks, they got very small lung capacity. So I'm only going to do 2 repetitions. Someone will set the dog in. I'll pull the dog to the stairs, let the dog get out. We'll do 1 more. That's training session for today. So in my eyes, a dog that's less than 20 weeks old is 5-minute sessions, no matter what you're doing, fetching, walking, adventure, car rides, noise drills, or swimming. Whatever you're doing, 5-minute sessions. Don't bore the dog. Don't make the dog overtired. Teach the dog, end on a good note, and move on. So any age.
All right, good. And here's my ad as a breeder and people taking home puppies. Please, even if you want your dog in the pool or not, if you don't have it, even if you have a safety fence, I don't care because fences get left open. Please train your puppy. We say 3 days. Give your puppy 3 days to adjust to being home and then teach them how to get out of the pool safely. They are still clumsy and they don't pay attention and they could fall in the pool with or without you in the backyard, but make it fun. Do it over and over and over again. Show them all the ways to get out of the pool. Make it a huge puppy party when they do. It could save their life. All right.
I 100%. And I agree on the 3 days as well.
Yeah. Wait, give them time to adjust.
Lita Trahern says, we have 2 4E kennel pups. My best friend is on the list for a pup. Brad, thank you for training our Lucille McGillicuddy. She has found her confidence. But, see, always a
There
but.
we go. But
Always a
But when she's getting attention from us, she sometimes growls and has aggressively gone after our other doodle if he comes up for loves during that time.
let me guess first of all. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Okay.
Here we go. Lita is your female, the Irish Doodle, growling at the Golden Doodle. Oh, I bet it is. Those Irish Doodles, they have a little bit of a pissy streak.
I'm going to have to scroll way down.
Well, Brad
to get that
might
answer.
remember, is the Irish Doodle the female in that family?
I believe so. I can't remember which one's which.
It is.
I'll go
I bet
down
it is.
and look.
I bet money on it.
So Lita, let us know which way that's working. I'm going to scroll down.
I'm right.
I've got to scroll down like 15 pages, but I'll scroll down and see what the answer is.
Okay, what do you do about this same thing? Believe me. Okay, but go ahead, Brad.
I would just correct the dog that's growling. That dog's not allowed to growl. It can't growl at the other dog. It can't growl at me. It can't growl at anybody. I would absolutely put a leash on that dog if needed and correct that dog. I wouldn't scream and yell at the dog. I'm not going to raise a hand to the dog. But but I have no problem going up and grabbing the hair on the side of the dog's face when the dog is being aggressive. The dog is not allowed to be aggressive to you. You get worse.
Okay, good. All right, next question.
All right, next question. Let me go back up there then. I was waiting for the answer.
We know.
All right. So PJ asked about the dog that didn't want to swim and came back in and said, so just to confirm then, having a golden doodle that hates the pool doesn't mean that she's broken?
No, there's lots of doodles that don't love to swim. It's just like people, they don't love
dogs in general.
And to get out of the pool with safety. You can't make a dog love water. You can't. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Andrea Boyle. Hope you haven't covered barking at strange noises yet. I'm going to skip ahead. Okay, Maddie is doing great on her down, sit, stay, heel drills, but is still reacting to UPS, FedEx deliveries on our street, even using they've even used the bonker. She's a little better, but still hasn't grasped the concept that she shouldn't bark. We've been directing her to place on her bed and be quiet.
Is there a question in there?
It sounds to me like she's doing good on everything else. What can we do to get her to stop barking at UPS and FedEx? So strange.
You can do drills. You don't have to wait for UPS and FedEx to come to your house. You can put your dog on a leash, start doing a little bit of drill work, have one of the kids or your spouse go out and ring the doorbell. When the doorbell rings, the dog's going to go crazy, and you can start working the dog. Make the dog sit and be quiet. The dog's on a leash. What are they going to do? So teach the dog by doing drills. Don't wait for the FedEx or UPS guy to surprise you and then try to fix it. Does that make sense? Drill, drill, drill. So I set up all of these drills. I don't wait for the dog to come.
It's proofing again. Have someone ring the doorbell, knock on the door, train and practice it so it's not a big deal. They almost become desensitized to it.
Yep.
Like it's no fun to bark at the door and there's nobody there. It's no fun to bark at the door anymore. It's the 10th time I've heard the doorbell.
Yep. If you got a friend with a big truck,
so I might have the kids go out and ring the doorbell and then come through the house and complete the drill. And then I might work for 5 minutes and then have somebody go out and ring the doorbell again. And I might just do 2 or 3 of them, and that's the end of that session. And if you do that every day, the dog's not going to give 2 craps about that doorbell eventually.
All right, good. Next, lots of questions about fear. So we'll just kind of do a blanket. If you're out in public and your dog exhibits fear, what do you do?
So fear is a big deal. We talked a little bit about that, and it usually starts from puppyhood.
Question.
Fear is fixed by exposure, by exposing the dog to what they fear and controlling the outcome. I'll give you a good example. The metal grates that are in a sidewalk, this is a very simple one. The metal grates that are in a sidewalk, when you walk over them, sometimes they make up a bomb noise. There's a lot of dogs that are afraid of those metal grates, and so they walk around them. And so what happens is the people say, oh, my dog doesn't like that, so now they walk around them when they get to that point. I just did a dog the other day. You know what I did? I took it over to that metal grate and I made the dog sit. And the dog was scared to death. It says, oh crap, this thing's going to eat me for sure. We sat there. When the dog calmed down, I moved away. Turn around and walk back, resat the dog. He did way better. We did this for 5 minutes. The people told me the next day, my dog has zero fear of metal grates. So the key is to make the dog face the fear. Okay, so it would really depend on what they're fearful of and what the technique's going to be. But at the end of the day, the rule is they have to face the fear and you have to control the outcome. So don't make your dog face the fear of another dog and then that dog bites your dog because you didn't control the outcome. That went real sideways. And if it gets worse, then you're really not going to be able to fix it. Okay, so fear is done by facing the fear. If my dog's afraid of people, I'm going to Home Depot. If my dog's afraid of dogs, I might go to the dog park and stay on the outside of the fence and just walk around. And that's the end of the session. And then we leave. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think too, we tell our puppy that take home new puppies, we have we say the Kappa squat. Well, we have a big debate
Papa
about
squat,
this.
yeah.
Okay, what do you guys, Jamie, you and Brad, is it cop a squat or pop a squat?
It's COP, C-O-P.
Cup, like Matt's a cup.
What do I say? I don't even know. Kappa squat.
You
yes.
say Papa squat.
Oh, I thought I said Kappa squat. No,
No.
Papa squat. What's on? What? I don't even know anymore what I say. What's on Pretty Woman?
I say Papa squat.
I don't know. Anyway,
That's
that's all
not right. That's not right. It's not pop. Let's
Yes,
look
it
it up.
is. Yes, it is.
Papa
It is.
squat.
I'm going
It's,
to ask the Google.
I think it's
yes.
Kappa
So
squat.
we did
It is
that.
Kappa squat.
We did that. And if you ask Google, they're going to tell you both are correct,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
they're not.
Probably,
They're not.
probably will.
It is Papa squat.
But the whole
Go
idea
over there and
is
Papa
you
squat.
Kappa squat wherever you are. When that dog shows fear, Kappa squat. Wait it
Kappa
out.
squat.
Don't push a dog into fear, but don't leave either. Wait until the dog can only live in the state of fear for so long. But they also need to know nothing is wrong. So we always say Kappa squat.
See,
Hang
you
out.
did. Papa squat. Good
Kappa
job.
squat.
You just
I
said pop.
cop.
Nope.
Kappa squat.
Nope.
It is Kappa squat. That's what's on Pretty Woman, right? Whatever Pretty Woman says is right. That's my ultimate all
She
time.
said
No, you don't.
she
You
said
don't
that,
get it right.
that hookers are good.
She does not.
Yeah, I'm
She
just
never
listening.
says that.
Well, she doesn't say they're not.
Oh, good God. All right, you guys. It has
All right.
been an out. Do we have time for one more question?
Well,
One
okay.
more question.
Let's
You better
let's
pick
do.
a good one.
Okay, so all
Yes,
right.
Brad, we'll have you on more, right? You'll come back.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
Because for
We'll do more.
every page I get through, there's 3 more added to the
All
bottom.
right, so we'll announce. You'll
hey.
come once a month, right? Dr. McDermott already said he'll do once a month.
I like it. Let's do it.
Okay, there we go. So
Hey,
we
well,
have
so
you
let's
once a
do
month.
this last one real quick though.
All right, one more
And this is
question.
for Lori, but I think there's some others in here too. They're already planning on bringing a dog to you. What can they do to help prep the dog before it comes to you?
There's not a lot to do. It really would depend on the age. And the biggest thing that I can tell anybody to do with their dog is get them out in the world. When I teach people about puppies, there's 2 things that I really hone in on. I talk about 13 different things, but the 2 things is potty training, because you don't want that to go sideways. And the other thing is adventure and car rides. Adventure and car rides, adventure and car rides. Once a dog gets 5 or 6 months old and is car sick and has all these problems, we have a couple doodles. Once they start having all those anxiety problems, it's hard to fix. So between now and any time you're going to bring a dog to me, just keep the dog out in the world and put something on their neck and get them used to it. But if you don't, we'll fix that right away. Cool?
All right, that is good. Thank you so much,
I want one.
Brad of Norton Dog Training. Brad and Jamie, we love you. Thank you for all. They got my
Cameo.
babies.
They're doing a
They
cameo.
got my babies. They've got a rabbit. We have not announced who the Healing Hearts recipient of that puppy is yet. And then you have Willie, right?
Willie Nelson.
This is Willie Nelson, the red one.
Yeah, you're right. Willie is with you just to be trained as a family companion, because that family already has a diabetic alert dog and they don't want the puppy to come in and mess with any of that. They want it to come in, the puppy to come in and everything to be incredibly smooth. Thank you guys so much for all of your help for our 4E family. I can't tell you guys how much Brad does truly to help us and our mission of healing hearts and changing lives through the power of a dog, and how much he's donated of his time to train dogs so that we can help, through our Healing Hearts program, our therapy dogs, our facility dogs, our service dogs. You are becoming the go-to for our school facility dogs. Gosh, we're training so many of those. And that's where I started. That was my initial passion, because I was a teacher. I was the first teacher to have a dog in my classroom. So I love that is becoming so much a part of our work together. So thank you so much, Brad and Norton and Jamie. We will schedule you. I'm not letting you guys out of it. Once a month, we'll do Ask the Trainer, and anybody else. You can call him or look him up and email him if you need help with your dog. Thank you all. I'm Jeanette with 4E Kennels. We're only healing hearts and changing lives through the power of a dog. But we are also, we are asking anybody that wants to sponsor a dog for our Healing Hearts giveaway, please contact us. Anybody that's willing to help fundraise and sponsor a puppy, then that we can get them fully trained, please contact us. The more people we can truly help through the power of a dog, I think the better off we all are.
I agree.
Did I get it all?
Awesome.
to say it all.
sure.
Yeah, all right.
I like
Cheers,
it.
everybody. Happy Friday night. Cheers. And we will see you next Friday at our same time, 8 in the morning. It's probably about time to have Dr. McDermott on again. I'll have to contact
It's
you.
getting there.
All right, we'll get on a schedule.
2 weeks from now.
All right. Thank you guys so
All right.
much. Have a good night.
Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
for having us. See you soon. Bye-bye.
We're not turned off yet.
No, I know.
Oh, there it is. There's the live show. We couldn't find it.
Hey.
I had it on that. I had it on that.
Showing us. We had no screen the
We had no
entire
screen the
time.
whole time.
And then I closed
Wow,
Facebook.
that sucks.
No.
We got to see your beautiful face, so.
Well, we had no idea.
Well, thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Jeanette has a pretty face too.
You see him?
Oh, that was
Well,
awesome.
you're drinking tonight. I saw you drinking
Oh,
something.
that was a beer.
She's not messing around.
Grape apple hard cider.
Is that
Oh, Angry Orchard.
All right. Yeah.
Angry Orchard, baby.
I
Huh?
live with him. I have to drink.
Our new thing is, well, it hasn't been super new, but old fashions. That's our drink right now.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll set up a schedule. I'm going to hold you to it.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.